Okay, today we are going to be learning about sound waves. Now, you did review about what are waves in general, but we are going to go deeper into what sound waves are, what they look like, and even some examples. So, what exactly are sound waves? These are the sounds we hear, and it's a type of wave that travels through the air. They are caused by vibrations that move. And sound waves travel differently from light. Light travels in a straight path, but sound waves go all around. So, what are some mediums that sounds can travel through? Sound waves use air, water, or solid objects to be able to move around. And it is very similar to light energy that it can be reflected, absorbed, or transmitted through different objects. So, sound waves do have three different properties that we're going to be talking about. The first is frequency, next is amplitude, and then wavelength. So, how do we hear sound waves differently? I'm sure you've heard music that sounds different, or you know that a baby crying sounds different from a lullaby. Well, these different sounds have different frequencies, amplitudes, and wavelengths. The frequency is actually the number of waves in a given amount of time. And if you look over here, you see in this amount of time, there were just two. If you see here, these are the two dips. But over here, in the same amount of time, there's a lot more dips. So, what does that exactly mean? It means that the high frequency sounds have actually higher pitch, kind of like this ambulance. You know, ambulances make the ooh, 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 and you compare that to something with a lower pitch, kind of like a choo choo train, like a choo choo. You can tell how they sound different. Well, what about amplitude? If frequency decides on the pitch of the sound, well, amplitude is actually the volume of the sound. And when you look at this wave, the amplitude is actually the height of the wave and determines the volume of a sound. So, a sound that is extremely loud has high amplitude, and a sound that is very soft has a low amplitude. And it's very interesting because the wavelength of a sound, which is from one peak to another peak, is actually the sound wave moving back and forth. It is the distance between the two peaks of a wave. So, what are some examples of sound waves? You know that we obviously hear music and sounds, but animals also use sound waves to navigate and locate objects. And this is called echolocation. So, bats do this, whales and dolphins actually do it in the water. And so, you know that sound waves can also travel through water. And some examples of sound waves that humans can hear are things like radio, TV, audiobooks, and medical devices. Can you think of any more? And so, how do we actually hear sound? Well, our brains are very similar to a computer. They're able to see the input, which is, let's say, the sound happens, and we're able to process it in our brains, kind of like a computer CPU, and then we hear the sound, and that's how it happens. And so I want you, as we finish this lesson, to go over these questions with your table partners or groups that your teacher has put you in.